The diner smelled of burnt coffee and rain-soaked leather. Outside, thunder rolled over the highway like a restless beast. Inside, a woman with trembling hands tried to pour coffee without letting anyone see the bruise spreading like a dark flower beneath her sleeve. She smiled softly, the way people smile when they've forgotten what it feels like to be truly safe. And then the door swung open, and the sound of motorcycle engines filled the silence like a warning. If you believe kindness still exists, take a moment to show some love. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness. Because sometimes your small gesture might touch someone's heart today. The day had started like every other for Mary Whitfield, a young waitress in her mid-20s, working the morning shift at Hank's Diner on Route 92, a lonely stretch of road where the coffee was always strong, the eggs always greasy, and the regulars never asked too many questions. She was the kind of woman who tried to disappear into her work. Polite smile, quiet voice, always keeping busy. Her coworkers liked her, but nobody really knew her. Behind that apron, Mary carried bruises, not just on her skin, but deep inside where no one could see. Her husband Tom was the kind of man who looked charming in public but cruel in private. He'd been out of work for months, angry at the world, and Mary was the only one close enough to take the hit, literally. She wore long sleeves even in summer. Cold mornings, she'd say when someone asked, but everyone knew. Small towns always know. They just pretend they don't. That morning, the air was thick with tension. The clock above the counter ticked toward 10:30 a.m. when the Iron Souls biker gang rolled in. 5 of them. Leather vests, heavy boots, tattoos that looked like stories written in pain and loyalty. They walked in like thunderclouds. The leader, Ryder Cole, was the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. His presence did that for him. He was tall, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair tied back, a scar running along his left temple. The townsfolk whispered about him. Ex-Marine, ex-convict, who'd cleaned up his life but still carried the scent of danger. People said Ryder had seen things no man should see, but that morning he saw something no one else did. Mary greeted them with her usual nervous smile. "Good morning, gentlemen. Coffee?" Ryder nodded. "Yeah, darling, black. And keep it coming." When she leaned forward to pour, the sleeve of her cardigan slipped just a little. That's when Ryder noticed the edge of a yellow-purple bruise creeping from her wrist. He didn't say anything, not yet, but his eyes darkened. Years of violence had trained him to recognize its marks, not just on bodies, but in the way people flinched. He saw the way Mary's eyes darted toward the window, like she was afraid of being seen. He saw her wince when the coffee pot bumped the counter. He saw everything. The diner stayed quiet for a while, only the clinking of plates and the low murmur of rain on the windows. But Ryder couldn't shake what he'd seen. He kept watching, not out of curiosity, but concern. He'd spent half his life hurting people and the other half trying to atone. When Mary came back to refill his cup, he spoke low, careful not to draw attention. "You okay, sweetheart?" Her hand froze. She forced a smile. "Sure, just tired, that's all." But her eyes said something else, something that begged him not to ask again. Ryder nodded slowly, his gaze gentle but sharp. "All right, just making sure." She walked away, shoulders tense, pretending she hadn't just felt the weight of someone's kindness after too long without it. Later that day, the diner filled with lunchtime chatter. Rain gave way to sunlight streaking through the blinds. Mary's shift was almost over when the door creaked open again. Tom had arrived. His truck was visible through the window, rusty, blue, loud muffler. He walked in with the swagger of someone who thought fear was the same as respect. The room went quiet. Even the jukebox stopped mid-song. Mary stiffened. Her hands trembled as she set down a tray of pie. Tom walked straight to her, eyes red, voice low and sharp. "Why didn't you answer your phone?" I was working, Tom." "You calling me a liar?" he snapped, grabbing her wrist, the same wrist Ryder had noticed earlier. The coffee pot in her hand spilled, shattering on the floor. The smell of burnt liquid filled the air. Everyone froze. Nobody moved. Nobody ever did. Except Ryder. He stood up, slow, deliberate, like a storm about to break. His men followed, forming a silent wall behind him. Ryder's boots echoed on the linoleum as he crossed the diner. He didn't raise his voice, didn't make a scene. He simply stepped between Tom and Mary, calm as death. "Let her go," he said. Tom sneered. "Who the hell are you? You some kind of hero?" Ryder's gaze didn't waver. "Just someone who's tired of seeing cowards hurt women." The room held its breath. Tom's hand tightened, and that was his mistake. In one swift motion, Ryder twisted his wrist, forcing him to release Mary. The movement was controlled, professional, the kind of thing you only learn after years of surviving fights you didn't start. Tom stumbled backward, red-faced. "You think you can touch me, old man?" Ryder took a step closer. "If you ever touch her again, you won't walk away." Mary stood frozen, eyes wide, tears brimming but not falling. The other bikers didn't move, but their silence was enough to make Tom realize he was outnumbered and outmatched. He spat on the floor and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The diner stayed silent for a long moment. Then someone clapped. Another followed. Soon the entire diner was clapping, not loudly but with quiet relief. Mary, shaking, whispered, "Thank you." Ryder nodded. "No need. Just do me a favor. Take care of yourself." That night, as the diner lights dimmed and the world outside settled into darkness, Mary sat alone at the counter. Her reflection in the window looked like someone else, someone who'd finally been seen. Ryder came back, this time alone. He sat a few stools away, sipping black coffee. "You got somewhere safe to go tonight?" She shook her head. "He'll be home, and I can't afford a motel." Ryder looked down at his cup, thinking. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "There's a shelter on Maple Street, run by my friend's wife. Tell her Ryder sent you. She'll make sure you're safe." Mary hesitated. "Why are you helping me?" He met her eyes. "Because once someone helped me when I didn't deserve it." That night, Mary didn't go home. She went to the shelter. It was small but warm, a safe place for women who'd been through what she had. For the first time in years, she slept without fear. Days turned into weeks. She started healing. Slowly, her bruises faded, the ones on her skin first, and then the ones inside. Meanwhile, Ryder kept visiting the diner, not to check on her, but to make sure nobody else bothered the staff. People started talking. Some said the biker gang had taken the diner under their protection. Others said the leader had fallen for the waitress. But Ryder never said a word. He just drank his coffee, tipped well, and left quietly. Months later, Mary returned to the diner, not as a waitress, but as a manager. The owner had retired, and with the town's support, she'd taken over. The place looked brighter. New paint, new sign, and laughter in the air again. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the fields, Ryder walked in. Mary smiled. This time, not out of fear. "Your usual?" He chuckled. "Guess I'm predictable." She poured him coffee, her hand steady now. "You know, the town still talks about that day." "Let him talk," he said. "Sometimes people need a story to remind them there's still good left in the world." She looked at him, eyes soft. "You changed my life, Ryder." He shook his head. "Nah, you changed your own. I just reminded you that you could." As he left that night, rain began to fall again, just like the day they met. Mary watched through the window as Ryder and his men rode off, their headlights disappearing into the dark highway. She whispered, "Thank you," to no one in particular, and maybe to everyone who'd ever been brave enough to show kindness when it mattered most. If this moment touched your heart, tap that like button and help us share a little more kindness in this world. Because sometimes kindness doesn't come with flowers or smiles. Sometimes it comes wearing leather and scars, and it still saves lives. If you're still here, it means this story meant something to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us, because stories like this keep kindness alive. If this story inspired you, share it forward. Like, comment, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness. And tell us, when was the last time kindness changed your day?